Good afternoon, Muskegon. It's time for Touring Into your show for news, information, and more. I'm your host, Gregory T. Roberts. Struggling a little day today with a little frog in my throat, but that's okay. We will continue the show. We'd like to welcome you. Do me a favor. Grab your phone. Yep, grab your phone and share this. You can do that. And you can watch the show. If you're listening by phone, are you listening by car, and you'd like to see this show at a later time, you can do that by going to WVS 103.7 The Beat or M106. These shows repeat themselves, and you get a chance to see all these interviews. So now what you can do is today's show, you can share that show on your page as well. Let's get right into it because we're running a little behind. We'll do the weather in the second half of the show. Today's guest, and if you would like to be part of this interview, again, go to WVS 103.7 The Beat or M106 Rock and Soul. Now, there are a lot of people running for mayor in the city of Muskegon Heights, and today we are blessed to have one of the candidates. Put your hands together for Mr. Will Watson. How are you doing, bro?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
I had to give you one of them James Brown introductions.
I see.
How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Pretty good. A little bit nervous. It's starting to get down to the final hour there, and it's kind of tough. I got some signs that are being ordered, but I tell you, just running a small campaign, you can spend a lot of money. I
Oh,
don't see how the big guys do it. It's costly.
for years and years of running, I understand and I feel your pain. It is an interesting thing. Well, tell people a little bit about yourself.
Well, I started working for the city when I was 16, and I got hired in 1973. I think I was 19 years old,
Hmm.
and I worked in pretty much every department. Um, and finally, I ended up being the public works director. And then they had the times were hard back in 2003, so they offered some of us employees a buyout, and I took the buyout
Hmm.
and retired. I came back and worked for about a year. Then I ran for council. I think I stayed on the council for 8 years. And then I currently serve on planning and zoning, and I chair the Chief Clifton Johnson Christmas party. So I'm still active in the community.
Okay. So you did serve on council for several years.
Yeah, for 8 years.
Okay. During that time when you served on council, what do you think was your biggest accomplishment?
We saved the city. Daryl Page was mayor at that time. We uh, we were hurting real bad. We had just got hired Miss Henderson.
Hmm.
We were spending money like there was no tomorrow.
Hmm.
And, Miss Henderson got a lot of criticism, but at the end of the day, she came in and said, here's the deal. Guys, you guys are spending money that you don't have.
Hmm.
So that's when we got, like, with the Christmas party. That was being paid for out of the recreation department, but there was no money. See, there
Hmm.
was no money there. So we started giving our stipend checks to that. And then that's when I got involved in that. But we also went up and met with Governor Snyder. And that was a hard thing to do because I don't like to talk about race, but he was the best governor when it came to people of color. And he didn't want to meet with us, but we met with some of his representatives and asked them, what could we do to save our city? It was, I think Bonnie McLaughlin was there. Um, I think Kim, I can't remember, was Kim there or not? But anyway, we met with him and he told us we can need to combine some services, do this, do that, do this. And he promised if we did these things, that he would make sure we're taken care of, some money would come our way. I ain't seen a stick of bubble gum from that man yet,
Wow.
but it motivated us to do what we had to do. And we ended up with a fund balance. We got out of the red. We was in good standards with the state. Um, and that's the biggest thing I felt good about. We saved the city from being taken over, and that was around the same time that the school district had the same choice, and they opted to throw their hands up and say, we're gonna let the state come in and take it over.
Hmm.
We didn't do that. We went down to Lansing, put on our Sunday best, drove down and brought back some things. We combined services with Muskegon. We did a lot of things, but we ended up saving the city and having
You,
an actual fund balance for the first time in years.
you already answered the question that I have to ask everybody, but I'll get a little more of your input. I was talking to somebody about the city of Muskegon and getting dollars from the state and from Washington, and this person said dog, the hungriest dog gets the bone. And how does Muskegon Heights gets those dollars? Now you answered that, but I want you to elaborate a little more.
Well, we worked through West Michigan Shoreline Regional Development Commission, and the way it works, the money comes to the state first from the feds, and then the state gets what they want, and then it trickles down to the different areas in the county, and it comes down here. So it might be. I can remember at one time, man, they'd only send us like $500,000, and we supposed to divide that up with Roosevelt Park, North Shores, all that. That wasn't enough. So
Mm-hmm.
now the money comes down, and we have a what they call a tip. It's like a projection of projects. So we can submit projects. Everybody submit projects. So we might, let's say we submit a project for 2025, and we get the money and we complete a project. But the problem with it, I used to go after money that we could afford. See, I can go after a million, and they'll give me a million, but you got to have a 20% match. See what I'm saying? All
Mm-hmm.
money ain't good money. So you got to have
Mm-hmm.
a 20% match on that, not to mention you need your money for your engineering costs. So I would go after money that I felt we could afford. 500,000 here. If there was any free money out there, like I did a lot of CMAC money, which was for at the time. They're using now for bike trails and stuff like that. But I did a lot of that with updated our traffic signal system, and that was all free money, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I think I probably got over $2 million over the years doing that. But that's how it's done. It goes to the money comes to West Virginia Shoreline. We sit there and debate among each other, kind of fight over the bone, and we submit the projects, and the money is, we all assign different parts of the money.
Let me ask you some of the questions that some of the other candidates had to answer. Uh, how how do you change the way that people think about Muskegon Heights? You know, we know that there are good people in Muskegon Heights that go to work, come home, take care of the children, repeat cycle, go to church on Sunday, and just do it again. But how do we change this persona about Muskegon Heights?
It's up to the adults. I get so tired of hearing the adults always talking about the kids are self-destructing, the kids are doing this, the kids are doing that. It's the adults. There's no examples out there. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
the old timers that I grew up with, when I first started working with the city, I grew up with a lot of guys that I went to school with their dads. And they raised me. They raised me from a punk kid. You can tell me nothing. I knew everything. They raised me, and I miss these guys. I even went to a couple of them before they passed away, and I said, I want to thank you for showing me the way, being a
Mm-hmm.
second father and stuff like that to me. But at the end of the day, it's the adults. It's not the kids, it's the adults. They're fighting over stupid stuff, alienating each other. Uh, that's not the way we were raised. I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
raised that way. I try to respect the older people, but some of the older people are, Jesus Christ, it scares me because I still believe in the old thing that I'm supposed to be able to go to an older person and get some advice. You go to one now, you might get cussed out,
Well,
something like that.
that's funny because the second and a half hour, I'm going to talk about what you just said. So listen now, businesses. How do we bring businesses back to Muskegon Heights? It used to be the city of Muskegon Heights was flourishing. All the buildings were full. How do we return back to that?
Well, it's going to be kind of hard because it's hard to compete with the Fruitport area. A lot of places want to go to the Fruitport side because taxes are lower. They're more approachable. Um, it's kind of hard to compete with that.
Mhm.
I don't know what happened with that Costco deal, but just like I've been trying to tell people, don't you? Did it ever occur to you that Costco might have been looking at the city of Muskegon Heights to locate here? But when they see what's going on here, the negative publicity, the fighting, the Zoom meetings where they're calling each other's names. If you had a business, would you want to come here? See,
Mhm.
we got to present ourselves just like, our motto, Muskegon Heights, the city of friendly people. Doesn't feel so friendly when we go to the council meeting and everybody's yelling and nobody's liking each other. And these, like I said, once again, grown people. Some of them are older than me, and I'm 69, and they conduct themselves like immature kids. I mean, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but it's the truth. Same thing up at the school board. Uh, that hurts me to see that for the first time in history, we don't have a football team. We're talking about 100 years of tradition, and we got over 100 some years of tradition here, all wiped out. And it's always just a handful of people that keep uh, instigating or doing these things. Uh, we got to learn how to do better and present ourselves because it's like I'm sure your mother and father probably told you when you leave this house, you represent us.
Mhm.
Okay, you better conduct yourself like us, and that's the same perception of the Heights. Let people know that we are people to do business with. There's
Mhm.
another thing of there's an anti-white thing going on, and I'm like, I don't understand that. Um, I've heard people say, well, they did this, so we do this, that. No, we don't. That ain't how we do no business here, man. You can't
Mhm.
have an anti-white thing. We need everybody involved. All people who want to come do business with the city of Muskegon Heights, we need everybody.
Mhm.
Consumers Power just gave us $250,000 to do some work on Rowan Park. Do you see any people of color doing that? See, we need partners. And the only way we're going to get partners if we conduct ourselves like people, don't alienate people. I went all around to the county and different places like that, and some of the things they told me that was said by some of the elected officials here, they don't want to do business with them. I one year I had a heck of a time just trying to raise money for the Christmas party because some of these people, they're our partners, were alienated, talked against, uh, racial slurs used against them. We need everybody, anybody that want to come here and do business with us, conduct themselves. Let them know that they're not going to get anything free. If they want to come here and do business, everybody should be allowed to come and do that.
Mhm. Let's talk about the council. A lot of people say that the council and city hall is the transparency is not there. What's your thoughts?
It's not there, man. It's not there. Nobody knows anything. How can you make a decision when you don't know how much money you got in the bank? How can you don't have your audit done? Your audit is like your tax form. And once you get your audit done, that frees up money elsewhere. And I'm sure when I was street administrator, uh, we get Act 51 money for our major streets, Sherman, Getty, Peck Street, stuff like that. If you don't have your audit done, the state treasury holds back your Act 51 money.
Mm-hmm.
And I can guarantee you there's some money being held back up there. I've seen that money has been as low as 45,000, and some days as high as $1.5 million that they're holding back because you don't have your audit done. We
Mm-hmm.
can't afford to do that. We need every dollar we can get our hands on. But why do we not have an audit? I heard they got a. This is what I was told. They didn't hire a financial company. Don't know how much they're paying them. So if I hired a company that's supposed to be doing my finance, why is my audit done? Your tax man get your taxes done, don't he? Well,
Mm-hmm.
why is my audit not done? You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm. How, when you're out there campaigning, we're talking about campaigning and getting signs and stuff. You're out there talking to people. What are they saying?
Some of them, I had one person tell me, I don't even know why you're wasting your time. It's a lost cause. Nothing good gonna come about it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to do anything up there. Well, I can't believe that. I can't believe it. There's, like you said it best, there's some good people here. And these, like, I got two homes. I got my old home when I bought in 1977, and then I bought my mom's home up here in Woodcliff. And these are good people. They're good people. They're hardworking people. We have a mixture of professional people, blue collar people, but nobody acts like they're better than anybody else. We got some still good neighborhoods, and what's happening too is some of the houses, some of the worst houses in the neighborhoods, turn out to be some of the best houses in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We got people of non-color coming back. They're coming. They're starting to come back. Unfortunately, some of them are coming back for the wrong reason. They're not taking care of the property. But we still have a lot of potential, and I cannot. I don't agree with them. Sometimes I get more involved with arguments with these people because I said you shouldn't think like that. You shouldn't feel that it's a lost cause. I don't believe that. I don't believe it. And I will not believe it.
You served on the commission. What made you come back to run for mayor?
Uh, just looking at some of the things that were going on. There's with the council seems like and other people. It seems like they're out to get what they can get for themselves, and
Mm-hmm.
it shouldn't be that way.
Uh-huh.
I don't have anything I need to get. I don't have any friends or families or buddies and stuff like that I want to get hired. It shouldn't be that way. Everybody should be able to come to the table and um, if let's say if you want to buy some property,
Mm-hmm.
everybody should be able to come to the table and buy some property. I don't care if you're an employee or whatever, as long as you disclose it. But what's been happening is that if I'm a councilman, I can buy the property, but then you don't want you to buy the property. Keep it from him. That's not the way it's supposed to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's supposed to have a fair shake at the table, and that's what I want to let people know. I also want to let them know too that one reason why I'm running for mayor is that I'm gonna act like a council person because that's basically what the mayor is. People think the mayor is like the mayor of Grand Rapids or Detroit, Chicago. No, the mayor don't have any more power than any council person. He don't supposed to tell anybody what to do. He don't supposed to threaten, bully, intimidate anybody. He don't supposed to go make side deals. That's not his job. He don't. One lady told me that when she was married, she said her job was to break the tie. I said, break the tie of what? Well, if you guys can't get together, uh, I'm the tiebreaker. Tiebreaker? This ain't football or nothing like that. You're supposed to make decisions based on what's good for the city. But the
Mm-hmm.
mayor is nothing but a glorified council person. That's all he is. He's got one vote. He's the one that, let's say they had a grand opening somewhere. He's the one to maybe go out and cut the ribbon. He
Mm-hmm.
don't speak for the rest of the council. He has the right to make appointments to some of the committees, but even that has gotten lopsided because it should be a situation where every council person, if I'm mayor and I want to put somebody on the planning commission, I should let them know that, hey, there's a couple openings on the planning commission. I got one person I'm interested in. Do you guys have anybody? Then we sit down like ladies and gentlemen. We talk about it. And if my guy don't measure up and don't get the vote, there's no use to me getting upset. All I'm looking for is qualified people to serve on the committees.
Hmm.
And any given time, if that person doesn't work out, you can always replace them. But
Right.
to go around and flex like you got power that you don't have is not the way to do business. It's just a
How
glorified council person. That's
how do
all
you
it is.
how do you get people? We had that great water filtration plant out there. How do we get municipalities back to Muskegon Heights for that
Well,
jewel that we have in the water?
and you're right, it is a jewel. That plant is so unique. It's four plants in one. And we're actually using just one part of the plant. I was hoping that the casino would come. And we had talked about it, and we provide water directly to them.
Hmm.
But we're not out of the game, man, by any means. Because here's what's going to happen: the feds say that you got to have enough water capacity to serve the future.
Hmm.
So Muskegon is selling water to everybody. Roosevelt Park, Northern Shores, North Muskegon. They have all the customers. Eventually, what will happen is the Fed's going to come in and say, hey, man, you guys are going to have to do some expansion on this plant because you don't have enough capacity for the future.
Hmm.
And that's what I'm hoping that we come in. A smart person, there was a racial thing in the beginning that we lost these customers. A smart person would say, hey, Muskegon Heights, here's what's going on. Uh, we're undercapacitated.
Hmm.
Can we hook back up the, well, the system has never been disconnected. Hook back up and provide water for this. Because if they don't, this is what's going to happen. If Muskegon has to expand, every customer on that system is going to have to bear that cost.
Hmm.
Okay?
Hmm.
They're going to have to bear that expansion cost. So why not utilize us? We got three extra plants out there that's not being utilized.
Hmm.
And I'm still hoping that this casino goes through because I think that would be a win-win for us. If we could, I was hoping so bad that the casino would come and we could tap into them because I know for a fact Muskegon would have been overcapacitated by providing water to them. But
Hmm.
we would be perfect for that situation. Just run a pipeline out there. I had heard it was going to be a water park. You know how much water you use in the water park. Um, so we're not out of the game. We're not out of the game by no means. We're not out of the game.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that the current council is doing the right things as far as concerning debate and making sure they do things for Muskegon Height, or there's too much divisiveness on that council?
Too much divisiveness. One of the things before they got rid of this last city manager was that there was a tendency to believe that the city, they work for the city manager and the city manager doesn't work for them. The city manager works for us, all of us, the citizens. His job is to make sure the day-to-day operations go smoothly. His job is to bring us all the good and the bad news.
Hmm.
His job is to bring us on the finances, different things like that. We don't work for him. This council, current council, they thought they worked for him. They did everything he said do. No, no. He should be following the charter. The charter is our Bible. He should carry out the wishes of the council to the letter. Don't deviate from that. That's what he's supposed to do. But he doesn't work. We don't work for him. He works for us. And then we work for the people. The council is the policy maker. They make sure the policies that are put in place, make sure that the codes are put in place on the book, make sure that the charter is utilized to the letter, and the city manager's job is to support it. He's no different. City manager is no different than a manager at Walmart.
Do
He
you feel
manages the store, the day-to-day operation. He does that. It's the same thing, only on it's not even on a big, large level because he doesn't have that much hard of a job.
Do you feel that the city charter should be changed?
Yes, yes, most definitely, most definitely. It's time for some updates. What I'd like to see in there is, well, I actually would love to see term limits on council people. Um, it shouldn't be that way where a council person stays there for life. And term limits are good for the people of the state. It's good for us. It should never be a situation that one person gets to dominate a seat forever. It should not be like that.
It's too
Uh,
bad. It's too bad we won't use the term limits called voting that we have. Let's go. We have a question for you, sir. Rhonda Arbery says, how would you, as the mayor, change the city council back to a business-minded team versus those who are there for self-serving agendas?
well, I can tell you this: if I'm elected mayor, it ain't gonna happen like that. I don't believe in that serving one person. You know, I don't know about you guys, but I pay like $5,000, $6,000 a year in taxes, and I should have a voice. It should be never a situation where a citizen has to come to a meeting and complain about something, and they say that they've made phone calls to the different departments, different things, and nobody got back to them.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime a citizen comes and calls a department or there's a complaint or something like that, the turnaround time should be within 24 to 72 hours. And this should be turned over to the city manager. And see, there's never no follow up. Uh, I want to report on why this is Johnson's uh, road over here or something ain't been cut or something like that. I want to report on that. But it goes away. Once the report or somebody makes a complaint, it goes away. It never gets solved. And it's time for them to stop doing that. It won't happen under my watch. It
Mm-hmm.
will not happen under my watch. I will remind them who we are. Now, understand, I just got through saying my job is not to intimidate or tell them what to do.
Right.
But what they forget, this is what they forget. You took an oath. Now, an oath is just like going to court, raising your hand, swearing, and I tell the truth, all this. You took an oath that you was going to do the best you can for the citizen and do this and do that and do this, that. And that's how I plan on doing it. Remind them, you took an oath on this. You weren't serious. You shouldn't be here. You took an oath saying, I'm going to make sure the city of Muskegon Heights citizens going to have a good quality of life. And that's basically all we want. We want a
Mm-hmm.
good quality of life. We don't want to. I don't have time to go up there and complain about this and that.
Right.
But when you're doing self-serving things for yourself, I'll give you an example. I was at a council meeting not too long ago, and we had made a recommendation from the planning department to for a guy to put a business down on Peck Street there. And some kind of way the property had down that way got rezoned wrong. And we did our work. We was me, Jenkins, and a couple others. And we did our due diligence. We did everything. We followed up and got the information we needed. Made a recommendation to the council that we let this guy do that. In the same meeting, one of the council people got everything he wanted for his group property. Okay. And then had the nerve to say, well, I don't feel comfortable with this decision about this business here. I think we should put that on hold. That ain't the way it's supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
This man came as far away from Grand Rapids to put a smoke shop in one of our things. And you're going to stop him, but you voted to give yourself and your friends and buddy everything they need? No, no, it don't supposed to. Like I said, everybody should be able to come to the table and say, I want to buy this. I want to start this. I want to do that. And let them fail on their own. Don't you make them fail. Let them fail on their own. If you want to put a hot dog shop there, don't go to him and say, you know what, that's not a good idea to put a hot dog shop there. Let him put his hot dog shop there. He fails. At
Mm-hmm.
least let him try.
Well, you got a minute here. Okay, so listen. If I want to write a big check to your campaign or find out more about your thoughts about Muskegon Heights, how do I do that?
Well, you could send any monies to committed to like Will Watson mayor. 109 East Cleveland Avenue. I sure could use some donations. These yard signs are going to set me back. I didn't, boy, I tell you, this stuff is really, really expensive.
Yeah.
And also, I want to say thank you for letting me come on here. I hope I didn't rattle on, but I want to make the people know that whatever I know, you're going to know.
Mhm.
Right now, you don't know anything. You don't know how much a road project costs. You don't know how much money we got in the bank. You don't know none of these things. And it should be that way. It's your money. It is your money. And you should be able to know where it's being spent, how it's being spent. Uh, like the raise they just gave the intern city manager. I got no problem with nobody getting raises. But how can you give a raise when you don't know how much money you got in the bank? How
Mhm.
can you do that? And what kind of message are you sending to the other employees? I go up there to City Hall, and these young girls are there. They're being. I see Miss Di. She's down here. She's supposed to be the chief secretary. She's down here in the police department. Today she's over in the water department. Then she's over here in the finance department. And these girls are being moved around like things on the chessboard. And then you give somebody a $10,000 raise. Don't you think so? That money could have been utilized more to maybe hire a part-time person to help these girls out if
Mhm.
we had the money in the bank.
All right, Mr. Watson, man, the time is up for the day. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming back and running, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you.
Take care. That was Will Watson. We try to have the time equaled out. Thank him for his passion. All right, listen. I need you to turn your volume up, and I need to bring in my co-host because we got to have a heart-to-heart talk with this younger generation that are raising kids. Mr. Watson brought up an interesting situation about the city, no, the football team from Muskegon Heights. The fact that they had to cancel their season because they just don't have enough people to uh, play on the field. We also have a situation with the band in the city of Muskegon. The numbers are down and the stuff like that. I've talked to so many people, and there's a common denominator. The common denominator is the parents. Now, it was interesting that he brought up Watson brought up something that in the old days, if I was got kicked out of school and I was walking home, say it was like 10 o'clock in the morning. Well, Mrs. Newsom's gonna say, "What are you doing uh, on the streets? Why you ain't in school?" Well, I got kicked out. Well, I got whooped by her. I got whooped by the Chambers. I got beat down by the Jenkins. And they all called my family to tell them, hey, I got with your son. He got kicked out of school. We've lost that sense of unity and a tribe. I want to say, hold on, to my sister, Tanya Roberts Ford from Atlanta. I'm going to bring in my co-host. Hey, brother, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good, my brother. How are you?
Just let me go back to Atlanta real quick. I said you will get cussed out these days with this generation, and that's exactly right. I want to talk. If, people blame the football situation on the administration. They blame the low numbers and the people that are not serving at the Muskegon games, helping the band and orchestra. That's blamed on the administration. But no, or I tell you this, a kid gets disciplined for disrupting the class. It's the teacher's fault, and don't you dare touch my son or daughter. But the kid is bad as hell, but not learning because that tradition of listening to our older generation to learn how to raise this generation has been lost. And welcome back to the show, man. I have missed you so much. Welcome to the show, Pastor Melvin C. Burns, the second my co-host. Your thoughts?
Thank you, brother. It's good to be here. Hey, can I tell you a story?
Go ahead.
Me, my two brothers, and my brother-in-law, a couple of years ago, I'll go to watch my nephew. So 4 black men go. I'll go to watch my nephew play football, right? We're at this game, and this young man on the team with my nephew, you could see him giving attitude to the coaches. And second half, the coaches must have pulled him out because of his attitude. So we go down on the field, and we're walking by, and she says, you think some of these young black men would say something to these young boys out here, seeing they out here with these coaches. And I'm thinking to myself, now we got our nephew, but I'm like, he see this coach every day. And if you don't listen to this coach every day, what you want us to do? And I'm like, why you not upset? Why you not upset with your son? I mean, I don't know what the coach said, but I know football, and you know what? You ain't gonna never win an argument with a coach, especially if you want to play. And so I'm just like, you're addressing the problem to the wrong people. It's like, what is it about your son that he's not listening? But I said that to say it's a bigger thing. Sometimes we want to blame everybody instead of looking at ourselves as part of the problem. Like you were saying earlier, if kids don't go out for sports, you blame the administration. Kids don't want to play in the band, and you blame the administration. Once they make the program available, they provide you the coach, the instructor. What's the rest of that? And now you and I both know coaches, and it's not just a matter of you showing up for practice. You call kids, you pick them up, you give them rides home. Sometimes you help parents, you got to help them buy equipment. That's what coaching is today. But when the kids just don't show up, who is that on?
It's more than that, too. Now the coaches are required to feed the kids.
Right.
They're required to go pick up the kids.
Yes.
They're required to go into situations where kids, they have become, where the parents, the teachers, and stuff like that have become where they're supposed to be the parents. And until there's a little point there, until when there's a little discipline applied, and if you damn touch my child, you're about to get hit. Got to go back to Atlanta, Georgia. Question coming to you, Pastor.
It's the entitlement mindset trap. When the new generation, if we don't stop it right now, your legacy can forget about it.
Another question from Georgia.
Also from Tanya Roberts Ford. It's a new generation. It's like children raising children, and these kids do not care about supervision. My DJ at my wedding was killed by a 17-year-old son because he wouldn't let him drive a car. There's no way in my day growing up I would even have thought about doing something like that. Yeah, none of us would consider anything like that for sure. But we
would have got that look, and that was all you needed. But somebody brought up, and I need your opinion on this. Somebody said you have to realize that now you have crack babies raising kids. Your thoughts?
If a kid, there's a thing called deviation, which is the way something behaves. It might behave a little bit different here and there. So if your child doesn't sit down at home, if your child doesn't listen at home, if your child doesn't pay attention at home, they're not going to do a whole lot better at school. They might do a teeny bit, but if you can't do anything with them at home, they're not going to do better at school. The deviation for us was you did what your parents said at home, then you got to school. You might have tried to act up every now and then. So it was a little bit of a deviation. Then you got corrected and put back. Today it's kind of switched on its head, which is if your child doesn't do anything at home, don't do it correctly, then how do you expect the school to deal with them? And behavior should start at home. It should be, the school should only be mostly reinforcing what the parents require for deviation. But again, if you don't teach them when it's the right time to be quiet, when to listen, how to respectfully ask questions, how to respectfully disagree. You don't learn those at school. You practice those at school.
Yeah, you're supposed to learn that at home.
Yeah.
And then apply that at where you go. I told my kids, wherever you go, be a blessing.
Yes, yeah. But
I better not get that phone call.
Yeah, yeah. But
You know,
you coach for a lot of years, and my
30,
daughter's a little older now, but middle school, volleyball, basketball, soccer.
bowling,
Fortunately,
track, all over.
I had a car with pretty good size. Let me tell you, basketball, about 10 people on the team, volleyball, another 10, 12, soccer, what, 14, 15. Me and the coach, a whole lot of trips, carrying kids to school. And then they said, when you back to school, just drop the kids off. Well, So then you get back there, parents aren't there waiting. Because me, I'm like, okay, we're about 20 minutes from the school, everybody start calling parents. But you get there, well, nobody answered. Well, you're not going to take off and leave. So you sit there, you wait for some parents to show up. And then sometimes the coaches say, well, I'll wait. And I don't know if people realize how unfair that is. But again, you can't send your kids to be in something you not participate. Again, prepare meals for the team. You got to bring snacks. That's all part of being a parent. No, band parent organization. No, band. You got band director, maybe assistant director, maybe a staff person. Band have 50, 100, 200 members. They need some help.
Well, listen. Right now, Muskegon's down to 30, but if you look at the concession stands, one is the orchestra side. Three parents, three parents, and then on the other side, they on the band still they're asking for volunteers because in the in the old days, we as parents had to go. It was not had to. It was that our child was doing something, so go help in the concessions, go help on Wednesdays nights, go do whatever. But now it's that mentality that somebody else's problem to do it. I'll just send my kid to play on the field or whatever, but I'm not gonna go help.
Because if I'm not mistaken, in the stadium full?
Stadium full.
Okay. And three people to serve all them hot dogs and popcorn and
yeah. There are three on one side and barely a few more. I gotta go to the board. The board is blowing up. Go ahead.
People don't hear a thing that you say, but they watch what you do. Why would these younger people change when they get the most out of the negative behaviors? There are no exceptions from the parents, no expectations from the parents. Yeah. We're saying, it's that there has to be, you have to send the kids out into the world with something. And so again, getting people to volunteer as coaches is down because some coaches, you see athletes jumping on officials.
Referees
jumping on officials from games.
Mm-hmm.
Who's gonna do that? I don't know what coaches make now, but they don't make it. No coach and no referee makes enough for that.
Got to go to Atlanta. Another question, opinion from Tony Roberts Ford. Go ahead.
Okay, my husband lost one of his good friends because when him and his wife came over with their 3 children, the kids are running around like they have no home training. Not at my house. I will discipline your children in my household, or don't bring them over here again. So we haven't seen him since then, and I'm okay. You're okay with that? Yeah.
What in the world is going on? And another thing, as being in the ministry, is that people, they bring their husbands or boyfriends or girlfriends, and they expect for the ministry to whoop on them, or be the parent to their kids. That's not the role.
Not the role. And nothing. We don't want to be stuck back in my day, guys. We don't want to be those guys. The world is different. We recognize that, but are we even preparing children for how the world is now, how it's going to be?
Come on now.
We start talking about, again, parent participation. Whatever your expectation is for your child in school, you got to be involved. Whatever expectation you have for your child in sports and extracurricular activities, you got to be involved as a parent. You just have to. And if we go and find what are the top 10 school districts in Muskegon County, top 10 school districts in Michigan that are producing the top students, one of the common things you're going to see is parent involvement. They're in the PTO. They're volunteering at activities. They're involved. They're at the activities involved. It didn't just we drop them off and wait and see. It's just that's just going to be a common denominator you're going to see.
I was talking to a school board member. They said most of the time they're there by themselves. Nobody's there, and or the council meetings. Few people are there only when there are quote problems. But the thing is that why ain't you there before to alleviate, to make sure that there are not no problems? And then when something happens, you're wondering what's happened. For instance, they are thinking about taking Nelson School and turning those into apartments.
Right.
Well, that decision was made a while back, but now they're having questions and comments. But if you went to a school board meeting, you would have found out about it. But the thing is that too many people on TikTok. Get your butt off TikTok. Get your butt off of 5G. Everybody's trying to be a star instead of everybody trying to participate in your children's life.
Here's the one. Well, the school need to be transparent. They need to tell no, they didn't tell us. We don't have a newspaper, but we put in newspapers, we put it in newsletters, we put it on the school website, we sent information home with the kids, we emailed the parents, and people go, well, they should have told us, we don't know what's going on. And that becomes the excuse. And it's like, okay, I know I've been a couple of years, but at school, they always tell the thing, what's the best way to reach you? You get email after, school newsletter, school emails, and they put all these things in there. Here's the school calendar for the month. It's like, okay, so what else is it sometime we need to be informed? Because I didn't know it. Nobody told me it becomes a good excuse for, that word, when the word we were talking about is apathy, when you just aren't involved and aren't participating.
Not that you even mention that you got people 36 to 40, 42, now grandparents.
Yeah.
I was walking into meat store and stuff like that, or walking into stores, and I see these young kids carrying these babies. And more you see that, and it's just happening in the world. And so now that young kid has to raise a child with a young grandparent or that kid gets in trouble. Now that grandparent has to raise those children. We have so much of that stuff going along. But when you ask for help or you try to help them, they don't want to receive help, or they don't want to go to older people who've been through those experiences because it ain't none of their dang business. Pastor Burns.
Yeah. That word expectation was used earlier, and expectation comes with investment. Again, hopefully you send your child to school and you want them to do well. What's the level of your investment as a parent? Your only investment can't be I send my child. You want your child, you put your child in sports. Okay, what's your level of investment as a parent after that? You send your kid wants to be involved in a band. What's your level of investment? Do you pick them up, drop them off? Do you make sure they're practicing? Hey, game is Friday. You got your steps for the band. You got your music together. You got to invest in as a parent. Okay, band need the uniforms. Okay, we're gonna help at the concession stand because we know the band need money for uniforms and for the band trip and for new instruments. But if it's, hey, you in the band? Okay, you can be in the band. Go ahead. And there's no more investment. Then the return, expect very little return on that type of investment. That's exactly what we get. And I would pretend if you and I both knew all the answers, that's why we offer this forum, to maybe hear some other thoughts, not just, hey, how are things in our day, but how do we, in this 2023, 2024 coming up, how do we change some of those things? Or do we just keep suffering the consequences of them?
Let's got to go to the board. Back to Atlanta, Georgia. Go ahead.
The child is 15, the mother is 30, and the grandmother is 45. We have what went in the wrong direction twice.
Ron
Darby says, Mr. Burns, nobody is speaking a message. I attend the meetings and there are more alumni than parents. Our issue as the school board isn't to even attempt the parents and stakeholders. If the city uses Facebook Live, then why can't our educational leaders do the same? and they do receive help.
I tell you what, we've decided to do as alumni from Mesquite. We've seen enough.
Okay.
And what we're going to do, and what we're going to challenge the people that your kids have grown up, and like in my situation, my daughter now has 2 kids and married and all that kind of stuff. We're going to stop waiting for people, and we're going to go back and get involved. And here's the challenge:
Okay.
is that I'm challenging people that, yeah, we retired or we stopped coaching years ago, but I'm calling you to come back in to help schools, to help the cities, serve on boards, run for election, to get involved and help raise this generation, or we're heading in a bad spot. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. If we expect better, you may not have kids in the system anymore, but what are you willing to invest? Again, coming to a meeting and yelling or posting on Facebook, there's something, but they aren't the highest level of investment. To go to a meeting and say, hey, what's wrong with this? And hey, you ought to be doing this. Okay. Instead of, okay, I'm here. Where can I volunteer? Where can I help? I'm offering some criticism, some comments, but I'm offering myself to help. And I don't know what else starts that tide to change, other than if we don't want to see it that way, we got to invest. And maybe when we invest, somebody else decides, okay, I'm going to get involved too. But
instead of bringing problems, how about bringing problems and bring solutions?
Solutions that involve you, not what everybody else do. Yeah, here's what you need to do, but solutions that involve you, what you can offer, what you can bring to the table.
Well, you better say that one again, because we don't hear that. And last comment today, go ahead.
Tanya Roberts-Ford says, a lot of times these young parents don't have the necessary skills of how to parent. Maybe there should be some type of program for them as well. Yes, and there are many. And you wrestle with that. What do you force parents to do? What incentives do you provide? Every school event there's food. It was an incentive, but we struggled. How do you force parents to do things they should probably do on their own, or realize their skills they need to develop?
And see, it used to be you know what those classes were?
Well,
you learned from your parents.
Go talk to mom and them.
Yeah, go talk to mama and go talk to dad.
Right.
And then, or go talk to grandpa or grandma. But that's where the classes were. But now we don't have that any longer.
Yeah.
We don't have that structure any longer. Quick story: we had 3 coaching soccer one year, 30 girls on the team. I asked, how many girls here have a mother and a father at home? 3 out of 30, and 1 was my daughter. The 2, and that's it. And we don't have that mother, that father, that situation at home. And people, we're just taking the time to say, listen, get involved into the situation. PTO, city hall, whatever your child is doing, you need to be there. Don't drop them off, or think you dropping them off and they stay in that band. Because a lot of reason they're leaving band and going to hooking up with Spud and Nuck Nuck. Yes. And so make sure, how about you stay there and make sure that they are participating in the sport or band or whatever, and get involved in your children's life.
Yes.
Because guess what? One day they're going to be parents. Pastor Burns.
I see a comment, Ron Aubrey. I agree. Leadership being defensive, whatever board, whatever leadership role, sometimes you got to accept things are bad. And the skill of a leader is not only seeing a problem, but how do we bring people on? There it is right there. Leadership has to stop being defensive toward the community, alumni, and parents. I assume she's talking about the Muskegon Heights School Board, but I'm going to say any board, any leadership group. You have to, people are upset. People are angry. And nobody made you run. So if you sit in that role, you're going to hear some stuff. You're going to hear things you don't like to hear. How do you turn that into something? That's your challenge. You got to tell people not to do it because they have a right to do it. So Your challenge as a leader is how do you turn that into something positive? How you turn that energy into something that can be used instead of always feeling, instead of just feeling the attack, turn that into something else.
Very good. Very well said. That's the end of the show. Pastor Burns, man, it's great to see you.
Good to see you, brother.
Next week, I think we're gonna skip politics for a while, and then we'll be back doing politics. There's going to be a debate with the people running in Muskegon Heights. Look for the information that's going to be coming up soon. Listen, people, you don't know who you have a chance to touch, whose life to touch. Go sow a seed in their life. Go bless somebody because it is needed. Pastor Burns, thank you so much for coming back.
It's always good.
Take care, people. We'll see you next week. I'm going on vacation. I'll be back Friday, though. Take care and God bless.
All right. Take care.